Welcome to CentremapsLive video. Today we're lucky enough to be hosted at the Ordnance Survey headquarters and get Dean Pauly with us, Head of Product at Ordnance Survey. This video in particular we're looking at the Ordnance Survey National Geographic Database. As you expect, Ordnance Survey, a lot of that is talking about mapping and the mapping we might see in planning applications, council websites, and conveyancing for a house. So detailed building level data, and the National Geographic Database, the NGD as we call it now. How long ago did the work start?
The work starting all the way back sort of 2017, 2018,
Right.
in terms of actually defining what does it need to be more specifically to customers and their use cases. So that was a good multi-year program, lots of conversations with hundreds of customers, whether that was private, commercial, or public sector sort of organisations. So yeah, back, let's say 2017, 2018, build phase more started in and around 2020. So it took us the best part of a couple of years to bring it to market because it was such an overhaul, so different to what products I've offered before. And then yeah, it came to market for the first time September 2022.
Right.
So, yeah, it's been out there for, well, not quite a couple of years yet.
I guess I've described it as a product actually as a whole set of themes as they come together to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually really hard to describe whether you describe it as one product or whether you describe it, like you say, as more. I think I see it as one product because we put a lot of design and work into it to try and get those themes that you mentioned to work really well together. But yeah, for just to give you a bit of an insight, there are 9 top-level themes. So they're the most sort of easy to access but least granular. So a theme is like things like buildings. It's quite an easy one to understand. We have land use, we have water, and those kinds of things. So then it drills down through extra levels of granularity. So we have 15 collections, and collections are our next level down. And then we have over 70 feature types, which are our most granular. But the great thing, like I said, about the NGD is how we've designed it to really try and work together. So if you're interested in buildings, but maybe you're interested in dressing as well, we work really hard to make sure they work really well together. You can imagine they're never going to be identical. Like an address generally carries different information to a building. It's going to have to. But like I say, where we can and where we have, sort of work really hard to try and make it as easy as possible to use them together.
I think some of the nice link-ups that people can kind of start to understand is the address, getting down to a building, and then another layer within the data tells you about the building and its relation to the land around it, all of the buildings next to it. That's something that perhaps people can connect with.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power in, as you say, the NGD, National Geographic Database, in terms of making it much more analytical. And I guess what I mean by analytical is giving you way more information than just its position on the Earth's surface, ultimately. And yeah, in buildings and address, I guess a good example, you can almost bring land use in there as well. So they're sort of three that work really well together. I think it's sort of important to recognise if you've got an interest in a building, then you could be like in a headquarters like we are today. And actually this one's quite easy because there's a single address in here that is Ordnance Survey. So that relationship is nice and easy, as I say. Once you start to get to more complex buildings, so blocks of flats, maybe they've got commercial units underneath, that kind of thing, you still see them as one building, but your use case can quickly go, oh, but I want to know more than that because I know there's more going on. And so what we started to do in the NGD is create the linkages. So I'm sure most people hopefully watching this video have heard of UPRNs. So we start to use more of those linkages to allow you to traverse between, I'm interested in this building, tell me about the addresses in there. The addresses are still in that address theme we mentioned, so we haven't like munged it all together, we've kept them separate, but allowed those linkages to form. But equally what we've done is given more information about the building where we can. So we've started to say what the building's being used for. So this one, it's an office, again, quite easy. But in a more complex building, we might tell you, well, there's mixed use going on there. And that's a good indication to say, okay, it's a bit more complex. You might want to go and use the address data to find out more. And that's how we sort of segment it.
Right. It's like NGD launched officially less than 2 years ago, but it's, again, a whole concept behind NGD is that it can actually move forward more easily and then deliver new. You have to be so to see you by a raft, people use them, getting more coming. Just gives a feel for how that handling version of the data rather than maybe it's a whole new product.
Yeah, I think it's one of the at least personal view, I guess, but one of the most exciting things about the NGD. It's very much OS reacting to the fact that our marketplace is moving quicker than ever before, right? And that's not just geospatial and geographical, it's the fact that everyday lives that we live, like we expect things to change quicker and meet our needs ever faster.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of people watching this video know master map topography layer. That is scarily over 24 years old now.
Right.
It's a really quite an old product, and it's really quite difficult to change. So the reason for that is because we can only run one version at any given time. So if we want to make a change, we have to make that change for all of our customers in one go. We wanted to make sure we could move quicker, but not alienate or create a disadvantage or negativity in our customer base. So what the NGD can do is run multiple versions of a data set at one given time.
Right.
So if we focus on buildings, we talked a bit about buildings, we could, and we have actually, we can release a version of buildings, so the NGD, and as a customer you can come and take that and start adopting it and using it in your business process. But we might identify the need, or a customer might come to us and say, it'd be even better if you did this. And again, contrasting to our previous product offer, we can build that enhancement and we can release it in the NGD, and that becomes version 2. And that doesn't mean we've got rid of version 1. So version 1 stays in the market, people are using it, absolutely fine, they're not forced off it. But we have version 2. Now, that means we can iterate and move forward so much quicker, because we're not disrupting those customers who are on version 1 and maybe need a bit more time. But we are releasing version 2 for those customers that say, I want this enhancement, it's really important for me to have it really quickly. So exciting, it's really exciting.
Especially when there's a particular driver, some events where people have to think about the fabric of building, so because a sudden drive to get that data, rather than thinking having to opt something on that somebody's going to have to connect up, it can get driven into that core product.
Yeah, I think you're sort of referencing there, we made some really nice building enhancements in the last few months actually. So we've released the age of the building, so when it was constructed, when it was actually built, the construction material. So is it sort of made out of brick or glass, or whatever it might be made of. So it's not like you're waiting anymore for like 5 years for what is a really big bang release. We can nicely compartmentalise them and have here's a release in 6 months' time. Here's what the 6 months later will look like.
As we chatted with the British Geological Survey, they were talking about what's interesting is all the data that they've got, and maybe the ways of accessing, or just the realisation of the need to understand aspects of that data and suddenly make it visible. It's quite exciting to them that the new technologies, or for example, just electric charging, thinking about how geological information that they have is stored away there, can be used to service that.
It's like you've got, here's your data and your data product meeting the customer need. So is the data fit for purpose? Is it giving the quality and the currency that the customer really wants? But that's only as good as if the customer can then access that and utilise it within their application. I think that's where partners like yourself are really, really important. And again, the NGD has been designed to try and make it as easy as possible to access. I think we're right to be acknowledging we have a growing customer base across the geospatial geographical market. I don't mean just all the survey, which are not necessarily traditional GIS users. And I think us accommodating those kinds of people and trying to make it really easy just to get up and go and run with the data product and get the answers they need. It's vital for us to get forward.
And the idea that this kind of data would only be accessed in a GIS is saying that maybe 10 years ago we'd be locked in, and suddenly you might not actually see a map, you might just be drawing something through from some of the APIs, and it's probably the partners that get to play with the data, but also speak to the customers and make this the joy in that data can solve that problem.
And that's the thing, right? And you're totally right. It doesn't need to be in a GIS anymore. Like there's any application that partners or end customers might choose to use. I think the importance is us recognising how powerful location data is.
You'll see more and more NGD information available from CentremapsLive, and some interesting ways to interact with it as we move forward. But do get in touch if you've got any questions and you want to perhaps solve some problems where you understand the locations and part of the challenge and how you might do data together. So thanks again, Dean.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing you in a